Terry. So thank you so much for joining me on Unleash the Knowledge's mini-series, 15 Minutes with Owen. I know we've been connected for the better part of the year. You were one of the first people to really adopt the Unleash the Knowledge kind of promotional model and using the platform to get your message out, get your story out. And I thank you for that. It was very appreciative back then, and it's just as much appreciated at this current moment.
Awesome. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, I love what you're doing.
Of course. Thank you. So a quick background on you. You're a mindset coach as well as an entrepreneur. You have your own business agency to some degree where you help creative artists overcome unconscious blocks so they can fulfill their purpose. You have 20 years of experience, which is incredible. You're a graduate of UC Berkeley, who I have a close tie to the university. My brother went there. And yeah, loved the campus, loved the location and the
professors. The professors are amazing.
Yeah, exactly. So that's, I mean, the prestige of the university is off the charts. So it's, I know that you're coming from a great place in that regard. And you're a writer for Backstage Magazine as well. And of course, you're the author of Write Yourself into Your Dreams using the essential life story method, which I just finished. And as we spoke about shortly before this recording, it impacted me tremendously. And I know that it's going to be a part of, my reflection cycle moving forward. So thank you for that. And one tidbit I did want to mention before we got going with the 15 minutes was that you are a testament and product to your system, to what you're preaching. I know, at least for my generation, young 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds, there's a lot of stuff going on social media of people that are preaching what they don't actually do. But I just want to make it known that you struggled early on. You found some a bliss moment in the Amazon. And then you also, completed the essential life story method yourself. So you are a product of what you're preaching. And I just wanted to commend you for that and make that noted before we start.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Well, start the 15-minute timer right now. We'll get going and we'll respect your time and we'll get some good questions going. So.
Awesome.
All right. So Terry, I've noticed that a lot of your clients are actors or personnel in the entertainment industry, and you're also a writer for Backstage, which is a publication that's geared toward these same type of people. What's pulled you close to this industry? Have you had a interest of being an actress yourself prior to being a writer? What could you speak on that for us?
I don't think I had an interest that I was conscious of earlier on in my life, but I did take acting classes several years ago and started getting into acting, got an agent, and I do love it a lot. But I started working with actors, writers, directors before that. And the main reason was because I, like so many others, want to make the biggest impact that I can make on the world. And I personally feel like storytellers, actors, writers, directors, entrepreneurs a lot these days as well are storytellers. And I personally feel like they have the biggest potential to make a difference on the planet. That story has the greatest potential to change the way people think and feel and behave. And so when I help storytellers who have these great stories and these dream projects inside of them that are stuck, when I help them to get those stories out, the ripple effect that I'm able to have with what my skill set is so much greater. So that's why I work with that group. And everyone that I've worked with in the entertainment industry, actors, writers, directors, when we really get down to it and start working together, they all really want to they're here to heal. They're here to help heal the planet. So that's why I work with that group.
Okay, very cool. I had no idea what the reason behind that was. So I'm glad you could shed light to that. And, just from my understanding of the industry, it's cutthroat. It's a place where you got to, speak who you are through your voice and through your actions. So. And
it's tough. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm sure it's actually a little goal of mine, kind of like a life experiment to go through some auditions just to experience what these people go through.
Yeah, and that's why I've originally started taking acting classes, because I was coaching people on doing Broadway auditions and I know I was able to help them, but I felt like if I had the experience of auditioning myself, I'd be able to help them even more, which turned out to be true, yeah.
Awesome, that's great. So if someone were to just pick up your book today, first time hearing about it, first time seeing you on Instagram, maybe they see this video, what's the one takeaway you want that reader to gain after reading your book?
That truly, whatever their dreams are meant to come true. You know, a lot of times people in our culture relate to dreams as if they're just fantasy, impractical things, and they want to focus on goals. And goals are great if they are tangible steps leading you towards your dreams. You know, if they're anything else, I just feel like it's a violation of what you're here to do. You know, personally, I feel that way. You know, so those secret, quiet things that keep calling to you that won't go away, like even maybe you know, going into acting, you know, if it's that little thing that just keeps calling to you, you're supposed to do it, you know. But there's things that you're telling yourself now unconsciously that keep you from doing that thing. And that's what this book helps you to do, is to uncover that old narrative you're telling yourself to keep yourself from pursuing your dreams, to uncover that and change it so that it just catapults you into your dreams instead.
That's true, because, and you know, something I'm glad I've realized this early on in my life, that a lot of people, you know, go into, you know, a finance career, a desk job career, where, you know, they just work for someone else, potentially make someone else rich. You like do this whole life for the 9 to 5 for 40 years, and they never actually fulfill who they are. Because I don't think anyone's made for that life. You know, you could be analytical, you could be numbers driven, but I'm sure there's numbers driven people that are artists, or people that could, you know, paint, do some like crazy, you know, creative work that I would encourage them as well to always take that jump, go that way. And then you could always fall back to a desk job anyway, so you might as well chase your dreams.
The plan B, yeah. The backup plan. But I mean, I feel like it's true. We're all supposed to be doing what we really want to do in our hearts. And you know, what's funny is that you can find people in any profession that want to be in a different one. You can find actors who don't really even want to be actors. It's just what their parents did in it. You know, it was an easy in. You can find musicians who want to be actors, producers who want to be musicians, like plumbers who really just want to be an electrician, you know, and they're all telling themselves this story that they can't do the thing that they want for some reason, you know.
Yeah. That's true. What would you say is a consistent, you know, part in the process, the ELS process, that you've seen most of your clients struggle with?
Probably the parts about their parents. Yeah, the chapter on the parents. Did you have a hard time with that one?
I did.
Yeah.
For one parent. So, which
Yeah.
is usually, I guess, the case. You know, it's either I ran through, you know, the absent piece, or whether they're in your life. Whether my case is that they're living, but they're absent to some degree. You know, they're not as present as I wished. So that makes sense. I agree with that.
It's tough. And it's such an important chapter, and part of the process to look into the influence your parents are having over you, because, you know, 99.9% of the time when you're not realizing your dreams, it's rooted in what your parents modeled or didn't model for you. And so you've got to unravel that modeling in order to let yourself know that you can still love your parents, and be different from them in the ways that you need to be to realize your dreams.
That's true. That's awesome. What would you say has been the most challenging part for being a first-time author? The publishing process, getting the word out. What's like, is there one kind of piece that you could say, you know, or maybe advice to the next first-time author that you could help out?
Yeah, I mean, I think, God, all of the parts of the process have their challenges. You know, with the editing part, like, you got to get feedback. Like, wait till you get it all out, get the whole book out first, and then get feedback from lots of different people, because the things that you think are clear usually aren't clear to other people. And so I just had a lot of help with people helping me to clarify my ideas. That was so important, and it was fun. The self-publishing is a little wild. Yeah, all the stuff to learn, and the marketing pieces, but as long as you're just committed and trying out all sorts of different things and just keep staying committed to the process, like, I think your book's going to reach, you know, whoever it needs to reach. But be in it for the long haul. I think a lot of the big publishing houses do these big expensive launches, and it's a little hard as a self-published author to see other people publishing their book. Like, I remember Catherine Schwarzenegger just wrote a book called Forgiveness, Chris Pratt's wife. And it looks great. And she just had this huge campaign. And at the same time that mine was just like, oh my God, it's so hard getting it out there. But the other thing about doing it yourself is that you can keep marketing it for the rest of your life and just have it be an ongoing process and keep learning and tweaking. So I think that's one of the advantages to self-publishing, is that it's a little slower, but you can keep tweaking it.
That's true. Yeah, I've heard many stories about, when you go with a publishing house, you obviously don't get all the profits. You get like 10% of the profits, and obviously you want to make a decent coin off your book. But also to talk about your point of long-term, the vision is that I've heard so many stories like books like Rich Dad Poor Dad. Everyone knows about it. To my knowledge, it didn't blow up when it first came out. It took like 10 years or so. And
Yes.
then one day, it just went crazy. And now it's the #1 personal finance book, and it's, everyone loves it. So exactly.
A lot of books are like that. Eckhart Tolle's book was The Power of Now did not take off for a while. It was just, word of mouth kept, like eventually it just hit a turning point.
Right. So just to piggyback on the idea of self-publishing and advertising, is there anything that you might have thought of that you wished was present in today's world that could help you through the process? Like an idea of some sort that could, get the book out at a cheap price and allow you to read the book?
So one of the things I'm doing now, which you know who Mastin Kipp is? He's an author that just wrote a book. God, what was his book called? I'm not sure. But I was just watching a testimonial with him that he spent $60,000 with experts trying to figure out how to market his book, and then he ended up doing a quiz funnel, doing a marketing quiz to get people to go to his book.
Okay.
That's been extremely successful. So I'm actually going through a class right now with Ryan Levesque to create a marketing quiz to get the book out. Because from what I'm seeing, it's just, if it's done right, it can be really successful. So that's what I'm trying next. and that I think that could work really well for authors.
Very cool. That sounds super creative and innovative for today's world. Is there more Teri Wade books on the way that we could expect, or any sort of course, or, what's projects that you might have in the back pocket that you could share?
Yeah, for sure. So definitely I want to lead a program where people can go through this process in community with other people. So that's going to be coming up. And I definitely have a lot of other books in the hopper. So I want to write my memoir about the time when I was in the Amazon and everything that I learned there. So I have a draft of that going. And, another book about pop culture stories and the stories in our culture that influence us really deeply, and the messages inside of them that get absorbed into our own. Because that goes back to that mission that I have with storytelling, is when I help storytellers get their stories out, the messages inside of those stories are, they can infect our own if they're not healthy, or they can, be medicine for our own personal stories. Because most of the messages that you discover in your own story through this method have come to you through pop culture, through other stories that you've seen. So the messages that are holding so many people back in our culture have come through external stories. So I want to write a book about that too.
That's a good point. Actually, I just thought of that today. Literally, that's so funny you said that, because the idea that the talk is, how do you find your purpose? How do you find your dreams? How do you find out what's you? But it's so hard because you're on social media, and I see, for me, I see a white rapper one day, I see a white actor the next day, I see, a painter, I see an author, and I'm like, I want to do all those things. That all sounds fun. But obviously you got to funnel down to what's you and what makes you you, and dedicate most of your time towards that one goal. But you're right. Social media, pop culture, so many people just popping up, different types of lives, different accomplishments. And you're for someone who hasn't established themselves yet, it could be tough. You're in a whirlwind of different ideas.
Yeah. And you have to find that. But the thing that can get you ahead so much faster, is when you really connect in your heart to what it is that you want to do, because it's a very unique thing for each individual person. And there's no one else on the planet who's you, and no one else who has your specific dream. And if you follow it, it's the universe backs you up.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to mention as well that I like that you know, it's clear that you have a divine background. You trust in a higher power. And I like how you refer to it as source, because, you don't want to come across in a certain way. You want everyone to kind of find their own avenue of what they feel. And me personally, growing up in the church and being a man of faith has been tremendous. And that's a testament to how I really do anything, because I trust in that. And I'm
Yeah.
glad that you mentioned you make it a focus point when you talk throughout your whole book. You always mention
It's really essential, to success, I think, in life, to have a connection with higher power. And I use the word source, because this book really is compatible with any religion or with any faith.
Right.
And that was important for me for people to understand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. So what's other than your own book, what's the number one book that you find yourself passing on to friends, gifting others, personally rereading? Is there a book?
It would either be The Big Leap or Stephen King's On Writing. Really, Stephen King's On Writing is amazing. I mean, I was stuck writing a novel years ago. I still haven't published it, but I just couldn't conceive of how someone actually can write a novel. Like, how does that happen, where all the pieces come together? And reading about his process, the light went on, and then I just let it come out. And I just love the way he explains how to write and what your writing process can be, so that you don't feel pressured. It's that pressure that holds people back. But I love that book.
That's funny you say that as well, because I was just in Barnes and Noble yesterday. Finally got back. I'm from New Jersey, so we're in the hub of the virus. It opened up, and I found that book. I didn't purchase it. It's on my list, but that book, and then on the other book on writing well, which is a popular nonfiction.
Barbara Euland.
Yes, yeah, I believe so. It's like a white bluish cover.
Yeah.
Those two books need to be purchased by me very soon.
I quote both of them. I reference both of those books in Write Yourself into Your Dreams.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have I'm writing well underlined. I remember actually just reading that.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
Good.
Well, the timer is about to go off. One last question. Do you have a personal mantra that you live by? Something that, when you wake up in the morning, it comes across your mind and it's how you attack the day. It's how you keep going.
I mean, my personal mantra would probably be one of the messages in my story, which is just that, like, everything is working out beautifully for me in my life, even and especially when it might not look like that. So, and that's a faith thing too, when it, trusting that God is, bringing you the situations and the circumstances that you're experiencing for your benefit, even though you usually can't see that until later when it's a challenge. I feel like that's, just an essential thing for me to be able to lean on.
I love that. I always say that God gives his hardest battles to his strongest soldiers. And I think that
yeah.
statement. Even when I think life's going well, I'm like, dang, maybe God thinks I'm weak. Maybe he's not throwing. But I've had my own fair share of stuff, and we all do. So that's a great mindset.
I love that saying. That's really good.
Well, Teri, thanks again so much for coming on. I'm glad that we've been able to connect over the past few months. We'll stay connected, of course. I'll keep preaching the word of Write Yourself into Your Dreams. The book will still make its way onto my page consistently. I'm always, giving back to everyone that's helping me out, and vice versa. And also just personally, I'm going to have to, stick with the ELS method for, years to come, and keep revising it and keep perfecting it. So thank you for all your work.
Thank you so much for having me. It was great talking to you.
Yes, it was awesome. All right. Take care.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.